Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a man named Ali Baba. Ali Baba was a simple woodcutter who lived with his wife in a small village. They were poor but happy. One day, while Ali Baba was in the forest, he saw a group of men on horseback. They were fierce-looking thieves. Ali Baba hid behind a bush and watched as they approached a huge rock. The leader of the thieves stood in front of the rock and said, "Open sesame." Suddenly, the rock moved, revealing a secret cave filled with treasures. Ali Baba was amazed. He waited until the thieves left and then cautiously approached the cave. He remembered the password the leader had said, "Open sesame." To his surprise, the rock moved, and Ali Baba entered the cave. Inside, he found gold coins, jewels, and precious gems shimmering in the dim light of the cave. Ali Baba's eyes widened with wonder at the sight of such riches. Carefully, he picked up a handful of coins, feeling their weight in his palm. The jewels sparkled like stars in the night sky, casting colorful reflections on the cave walls. Ali Baba couldn't believe his luck. He filled his pockets with as much treasure as he could carry, the weight of the gold and jewels pressing against him as he made his way out of the cave. Each step felt lighter, his heart buoyed by the thought of the new life that awaited him and his wife. With a joyful heart, Ali Baba hurried home to tell his wife the incredible news. The treasure he brought with him would change their lives forever, opening doors they had never dreamed possible. And as he journeyed home, Ali Baba couldn't help but smile, his mind already spinning with plans for their future. Excitedly, Ali Baba shared the secret of the cave with his wife. Together, they counted the treasure and planned how they could use it to improve their lives. But Ali Baba's greedy brother Qasim overheard them talking about the treasure. Qasim begged Ali Baba to tell him where the cave was, but Ali Baba refused. Ignoring his brother's warnings, Qasim went in search of the cave, his eyes gleaming with greed. He ventured deep into the forest, following Ali Baba's vague directions until he stumbled upon the massive rock hiding the cave's entrance. With trembling hands, Qasim approached the rock, his heart pounding with excitement and anticipation. Breathing heavily, Qasim cleared his throat and loudly shouted, "Open sesame!" The ground rumbled beneath him as the rock began to shift, revealing the entrance to the cave. But in his eagerness, Qasim had forgotten the second part of the password. Panic surged through him as he realized his mistake. Frantically, he searched his mind for the missing words, but they eluded him like ghosts in the night. Desperation clawed at his chest as he struggled to recall the elusive phrase. But it was too late. The rock closed behind him with a deafening thud, trapping Qasim inside the dark, cavernous depths of the cave. Alone and helpless, he knew that his greed had led him to his doom. And as the echoes of his cries faded into the darkness, Qasim knew that he would never again see the light of day. For in his reckless pursuit of wealth, he had sealed his fate with the very words that had promised him untold riches. The thieves returned and found Qasim trapped inside. They killed him and left his body in the cave. When Ali Baba discovered what had happened to his brother, he mourned his loss deeply. The weight of grief hung heavy on his heart as he reflected on the consequences of greed and folly. Though Qasim had ignored his warnings, Ali Baba couldn't shake the feeling of responsibility for what had befallen his brother. In the quiet moments of the night, Ali Baba would sit by the fire, his thoughts drifting to Qasim and the choices that had led to his demise. He wished he could turn back time, to warn his brother once more, to prevent the tragedy that had torn their family apart. But, despite his sorrow, Ali Baba knew that he couldn't change the past. And so, he made a solemn vow to keep the secret of the cave to himself and his wife. He couldn't bear the thought of another soul meeting the same fate as Qasim, lured by the promise of riches hidden in the darkness. And so, the cave remained a secret, known only to Ali Baba and his wife. They lived their lives quietly, content with the simple pleasures that surrounded them, grateful for the love and companionship that had weathered the storms of sorrow and loss. And though the treasure in the cave remained untouched, its memory served as a reminder of the dangers of greed and the importance of cherishing the blessings that truly mattered. For Ali Baba had learned that true wealth could not be measured in gold or jewels, but in the bonds of family and the richness of the heart. Over time, Ali Baba used the treasure wisely, helping his family and friends. And though he never forgot the adventure he had with the 40 thieves, he knew that true wealth came from kindness and generosity, not from stolen gold. And so, Ali Baba lived happily ever after, content with his simple life and the love of his family.